I want to welcome you to higher education, and we're grateful for your presence. I'm going to ask Senator Hickman if he would open us up in prayer.
Thank you. Number 10.
Number 10.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us pray. Lord God, you've given us another great day, Lord, to honor you and work for the hard-working people of Georgia. Lord, we just ask you to give us wisdom, justice, and moderation and courage, Lord, as we represent the people of Georgia. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Senator. We have 3 bills on the agenda today. We're going to do our best to work through them in a judicious manner. We're going to start with Senate Bill 149. Senator Hickman, you're welcome to present there, or you're welcome to assume the chair. Okay. This is Senate Bill 149, LC 492116, tuition equalization grants at private colleges and universities.
Do we have a sign-up sheet for this?
We should have a sign-up sheet. Is there a sign-up sheet for Senate Bill 149? Anyone wishing to speak to that legislation? Menashe, would you check? Okay. All right, if you would go ahead, Senator.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee, for allowing us to present this bill. This is actually a redundancy. This bill actually passed out of the Senate last session, and I think our chairman carried this bill.
I did.
And now there has been some modifications. Also, those modifications are well taken, and they have been taken out of it. But this, when you get it all boiled down to it, this is nothing more than a workforce development bill, who we've heard so many things about, and we need to keep developing our workforce. So Senate Bill 149 says the Georgia Tuition Equalization Grant Program, commonly referred to as GTEG, encourages Georgia residents to attend eligible private colleges in Georgia by aiding toward educational costs. This program was created in 1971. This is a non-needs-based scholarship for Georgia students that currently provides $550 per semester or $367 per quarter to Georgia students. Currently, there are 32 private colleges in Georgia that qualify for the GTEG program. Senate Bill 149 would keep the rigorous requirements for qualified institutions, but allow the program to serve more students as the workforce demands of the Georgia economy grow. Senate Bill 149 would allow for newly qualified 4-year college institution students to participate in the program. They must be accredited. School must be accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on colleges as a level 6 institution. This is the highest level of accreditation and is only awarded to the colleges with the highest ethics and practice in Georgia. This bill was passed by the Senate last year, as we stated, but was not successful ultimately in the House because lesser institutions were attached in the House. Through consultation with Georgia Student Finance Commission, Ms. Lynn Riley sitting right here next to me, we believe that the current level of appropriation is sufficient to support this slight adjustment in the TEG program. As Georgia grows, it only makes sense that we support quality educational options for our best and brightest here at home. Let Ms. Riley speak.
Let me ask a quick question
Yes,
first. SACS, COC, level 6, is that the current law? Level 6 is a doctoral degree granting institution, is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, you are correct, and that is not in current law, but it is being added as a level 6 requirement for a particular institution that would be eligible.
Would this impact other institutions that currently qualify for TEG that are not level 6?
Yes, it would. To our knowledge, there is not another institution today that is SACS accredited that is a private, for-profit institution at a level 6 classification.
I understand. Thank you. So it would not affect any current recipients of TEG, but this would specify level 6 for this classification of institutions. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
And, Mr. Chairman, that is on line 12 and 13.
Then happy to thank you, Ms. Riley, for being here. It's always good to see you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate the work of the commission. So, please speak to the bill.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Chairman Hickman has indicated, we have reviewed this for fiscal impact. And while it is the criteria for eligibility for the tuition equalization grant, should this legislation be adopted and enacted, it would provide for over 1,700 students to participate not only in tuition equalization grant, but our other Hope and Georgia College Completion Grant and Dual Enrollment Grant programs. We have gone through an cost evaluation, and Chairman Hickman is correct. Today, there are sufficient appropriations that are recommended by the governor for FY 2026 that would accommodate for this bill.
Very good. Questions from the committee? Questions from the committee? Certainly. Senator Taylor from the mountains.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you elaborate on the changes from last year to this year, going from the smaller institutions or the less level up to the level 6? I mean, what was the holdup over in the House last year?
I would think our chairman would know that more than I would.
I think the challenge was actually, I believe it became an issue with the governor's office in making it a little too broad. And so this was if I understand it correctly, Mr. Chairman, this is an attempt to focus this bill to allow for certain majors, workforce need majors in healthcare and other areas to be eligible for this support.
Mr. Chairman, does level 6 equate in any way to like a Research 1 university?
Level 6 is and again, if I may, is a doctoral degree gaining institution, but it's not necessarily a Research 1. There are a number of Research 1 universities, and they all have doctorates. There are a number of non-Research 1 universities that also have doctorates, but they're limited.
Okay.
So this particular case, I don't think there's a research component associated with institutions that would qualify here. So I think we're focusing, Mr. Chairman, on creating qualified individuals to join the Georgia workforce. Is
That's
that not
correct,
true?
Sir. Workforce development.
Any other questions? Do we have anyone signed up to speak to Senate Bill 149? Seeing none. What's the will of the committee? Oh, I'm sorry, Senator Beach.
I'm ready to make a motion if you're ready.
I'm happy to entertain a motion.
Move due pass Senate Bill 149 LC 492116. Due pass.
I have a motion from Senator Beach. I have a second from Senator Huffstedler. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion due pass Senate Bill 149, please indicate with the uplifted hand. Those opposed, I see 5, and opposed, 1 opposed. Senator Moore. Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Congratulations. Okay, we're going to move along. Next up is Senate Bill 180. Senator Dixon. Ready? Senator Dixon, share with us Senate Bill 180 LC 492206.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What Senate Bill 180, what it has to do with is the high demand apprenticeship program, which was initially created with Senate Bill 379 in 2022. The purpose of this program was to incentivize apprenticeship sponsors to establish new or grow existing registered apprenticeship programs in Georgia. Last year, under Chairman Hickman's leadership, the program was amended to make improvements and expand that program. The ADAP program has successfully supported industries around the state, encouraged new programs for apprenticeship and for them to grow. Given the demand in many industries, including construction, we need more support, additional apprenticeship providers And we've come back today to make an amendment to that bill that will help achieve the original Senate Bill 379's stated purpose to grow the existing registered apprenticeship programs.
Thank you, Senator. Any questions for the committee? If I might, Senator, as we basically allow for apprenticeship programs in high demand areas to be connected through an association, have you had a conversation with TCSG on this? Because they administer the program. Is that not true?
That is true, yes, sir.
So conversations with TCSG?
I have had a conversation with them by phone, was supposed to meet with them before this meeting, but got hung up in education and youth. But it was
Okay.
important, it was important legislation we were hearing there, so.
I had the opportunity to visit with the commissioner earlier in the week, and we discussed your bill, and they have no opposition to this bill. I would say the most important component of an apprenticeship is a workforce experience. You've got to be in the workforce. So currently, if I understand the apprenticeship bill correctly, Senator Hickman, I believe this was your bill, the apprenticeships are associated with an employer. Is that not true?
That's correct.
And this would allow an association to fill a part of that role. Is that not true?
That is true.
All right, so my question is, and maybe we'll get it from our folks who maybe can speak to the bill, the most important thing in my mind is that apprenticeship be connected to a job, to a Georgia job. And I would hope that utilizing the association, it would be a conduit to a job. Any questions to the committee?
And I do,
Yep, I'm sorry, go ahead.
and I've got Massey here and Niall, they would like to
Yep.
speak as well. to
Yeah,
the bill.
we're gonna invite them up in just a second. Let's
Okay.
take Senator
Sure.
Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, I know you've got good intentions on the legislation, but what confuses me about a bill like this is, does it not violate the gratuities clause of our Constitution? Because we're taking taxpayer money and we're just directly involving ourselves in a private enterprise.
No, you bring up an interesting point, but I don't believe that it does.
Okay.
If I could respond just a bit, it is not uncommon in higher education to partner with industry or institutions. And these funds do not go from the state to a provider of the apprenticeship. It goes to the Technical College System of Georgia. The Technical College System of Georgia then administers this program for the student, where they receive the training at a private entity. And again, the best thing I can say is that private entity pays the student, trains the student, gets the student credentialed, and then there are no strings attached to the student. Unlike some of our other programs where we put a string on the end of that carrot. So, yeah, I don't think the gratuities clause will come into play.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I guess with the money, even though it's being transferred through the technical school, eventually it's being received by the person who's doing labor, providing value to a private company, right?
We as a state, we contract with private entities all the time. So we procure goods and services. This is a service. This is an educational service. By the way, I'd point out, state of Georgia didn't have to build a laboratory, didn't have to provide the faculty, but does control the curriculum and controls the training required. So, Senator, I think it's a good investment for the people to get us a highly trained workforce in the skill trades that we desperately need. Any other questions? I realize I'm advocating for the chairman, but for his bill. But. All right, those who would like to speak to the legislation.
I had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, certainly. Senator Allwright, what's your number?
86.
Six.
Chair, and to your last comment, as so many bills that we're looking at, isn't this a critical component of building up a workforce to address the workforce shortages all that we experience all across the state? I was just addressing that to you. I mean, in other words, it's very much a public interest.
Absolutely. I think if you look at the skilled trades and the shortage of the skilled trades in Georgia, and I want to compliment TCSG. They have focused on this area for quite a while, quite a number of years now. But at the end of the day, we cannot meet the need. Now, I've had the opportunity to work through apprenticeship programs for decades, and I would suggest it is one of the best ways to gain skills that directly supports Georgia's workforce needs.
Thank you. And just the other day, we heard a report of a young man educated in a technical college in another state who's now doing conversions of diesel trucks into electric trucks, which requires a great deal of skill level. And he said, I would have never had the capacity to do this had it not been for what the technical college education gave me.
Absolutely. We have a few folks who signed up to speak to the bill. Brett whom? Brett? I need for you to sign up. Anyone? Come up, Brett. If you would, please introduce yourself and state your affiliation. Anyone who wishes to speak to Senate Bill 180, you're welcome to do that. Just let us know. We have anyone here from TCSG? I'd be happy to entertain their input as well. Okay, introduce yourself, please, and share with us your insights.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brett Hume, Southeastern Carpenters Regional Counsel. I'm a little confused with this bill, and I'd like some clarity if possible,
Sure.
because this does not define what an apprentice sponsor is. I mean, you alluded to what it is, but there's nothing written as to what this is. You so eloquently pointed out that employer must be involved.
Absolutely.
If there's a trade apprenticeship sponsor, where's the employer fit in? Wouldn't that be an employer sponsor?
Currently we have employer sponsors, and that's the current law. I think what Senator Dixon's bill might do is open up additional paths to receive this training. And if you recall, one of my key points was it has to connect to a workforce job, a job in Georgia, a workforce need.
Well, but I guess what I'm getting at is under SB 379 that the senator referenced in 2022,
Yep.
the language was specific that the apprenticeships had to be registered with the U.S. DOL. In order for that to happen, there has to be a practical aspect in addition to classroom training. If the apprenticeship sponsor does not have, at the point of curriculum, an employer, how does the practical work? You have to have, it seems like we're putting the cart before the horse and telling the apprentice, go find an employer, or the trade association, we got these apprentices, let's find us an employer. So to me, it's a little confusing in that respect, because you're leaving out the critical component of the practical, because having a 4-year apprenticeship with the carpenters, the practical is where they really learn everything. The classroom is more a familiarity. And I don't see where the practical enters into this as written. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, you have a response? Yeah, would you respond to,
Yeah,
to that
in the
concern?
original bill, that lines 23 through 29, those have not changed from them referring to SB 379 from 2022.
Other than the line number 26, where it says each employer or apprenticeship sponsor.
That's correct.
Let's hear from apprenticeship sponsors. Yes, let's do, sorry, say again?
He just brought testimony.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, just
Mr.
a
Hume.
brief question. Were you meaning to say that the apprenticeship that you described with the carpenters, for example, with four years of practical experience, is that's built into the apprenticeship program? And your question is, how can that be built into a private employer's apprenticeship program? Is that right?
My question is, if it's a trade association apprenticeship sponsor, where's the employer in the conversation? See, currently, to answer your question specific to the carpenters, we are certified and registered from the DOL. Certified means you've met the curriculum to teach. Registered means you have the curriculum exactly to the standards of the US DOL. And the standards include the practical aspect, which I see as written is missing. Does that help, Senator?
So you don't, so a person being an apprentice to a private contractor, which is what would be allowed by the language in this bill.
No, by current law, that is current law. This bill would expand it to an apprenticeship sponsor, which typically would be a trade association.
That makes that clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's take a minute and hear from our apprenticeship sponsor group. Is that okay? Come forward and help us with your input. Ms. Marsh?
Thank you for having us today. My name is Niall Dawson. I'm the Executive Director of the Independent Electrical Contractors, the IEC. In fact, I just wanted to let you know that this year is 60 years as a trade association, and we were present when the Governor Jimmy Carter signed the first electrical licensing bill into law back on April 13, 1971. And we have 300 electrical contractors as part of our trade association, all employers that employ electricians. One of the reasons that those 300 employers join our association is because of our U.S. Department of Labor registered apprenticeship program. We have 1,200 apprentices in our program currently. The program is 4 years long. They have to have 8,000 hours of OJT and 576 hours of classroom training. That's part of the Department of Labor.
Would you repeat that again? How many hours of practicum and how many hours of,
8,000 hours of on-the-job training.
okay?
They get that from one of our 300 employers, and 576 hours of classroom training. And we
So
provide-
roughly 10 to 1, more than 10 to 1.
Correct. And not only do they have to have that, they have to actually have passing grades, attendance. So it isn't just go to school. It is we grade and we attend their work as well. And the reason that we call this earn while you learn. So they are in classroom, but they're earning a full-time wage, paying taxes from day one. And the reason that this program works and that it is very exceptional is because it is credited by the U.S. Department of Labor Office of Apprenticeship. And because of the quality of our workforce services, we have grown by 30% in 2023. This last year, we've grown by another 25%, and we project another 25% growth this fall when classes start. We'll top out at about 1,500 apprentices. We also have 7 locations. Some of them are in your districts across the state of Georgia. We also offer online training. And we've done this over the years in spite of not having any government funding. And that's important because we are a nonprofit trade association. We have a very robust presence online. We have 2 full-time recruiters. They go into high schools, veterans organizations, anywhere they can to talk about the opportunity in the electrical field. And because of those recruiters and our very robust presence online, we receive 8 applications every single day for our apprenticeship program. So we are placing those people with our 300-member contractors. So another thing is important is that these apprentices, when they're done, they have no college debt or student loan. They are supported by our contractor members. And our message is simple. We desperately need more workers, as was said earlier today. The amount of work and industry that's coming into the state of Georgia is amazing, as you all know that. So we need more skilled workers to build the factories, to build the housing, and not only once they're built, they need to be maintained by the electricians as well. And I can go on and on about the demand. You all know about that. But once I need to let you know that the program has been successful for 60 years. We've been around for a long time. This is our 60th year. And I do believe that supporting Senate Bill 180 will help IEC keep up with the demand for electricians as our state continues to experience significant growth. And investing in our training programs, like the IECs, is a wise decision that will reap benefits for the future.
Thank you. Question? Senator Payne? You're okay. Senator, sorry.
And I will tell you that I believe in the training of the skilled workforce. Out of those 1,500, believe you said you had 1,500 last
We
year.
will have by this fall.
When they finish their apprentice program, do they get a job? Most of them.
They have a job day one.
Oh, so day one, they're working and
Right, all
Okay.
4 years. And if for some reason they lose their job, we work to get them a job with another one of our 300 contractors.
Mr. Chairman, I got to tell you, I toured a data center that was being built not long ago, and all the wires and the electrical stuff, and I mean the blinking of all those servers and how they do all that is unbelievable. And we've got to make sure we got skilled people doing this. So I believe in this program and I believe in this bill. Thank you, Senator
Thank you.
Chairman Dixon, for bringing this bill.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Rock, you have a question? No? Okay, Senator Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You said that you have 8 applicants a day. So this piece of legislation, it appears it only does 5 in a year. So that's not very many,
No.
right?
Five what in a year?
5 apprentices. This would be line 28 and 29.
We already have an apprenticeship program that services roughly 125 or 30 traditional. Is it 200 now? So Senator Hickman, can you enlighten us? We currently have an apprenticeship program,
Right.
but as the senator points out, we're nowhere close to meeting demand.
Correct.
So this is, if I can, paraphrase, this is an attempt to provide additional options to try to meet some of that demand.
But I think the issue you might be speaking to is that the way the legislation is currently written is that employers are limited to, it's currently 10 apprentices. It was changed last year under Senator Hickman's leadership. And, yes, Senator.
I just need for you to identify yourself because you hadn't had a chance
I'm
to do
so
that.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. I got
That's
ahead of
okay.
myself.
It's
My
all
name
right.
is
It's
Master
all right.
Porak. I had an introduction, so I don't know
Yeah,
if you want me to give
it's
it,
okay.
but,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think one of the ideas we've discussed is potentially having that cap extend to the apprenticeship sponsor on behalf of the employer sponsor. So for example, I own an electrical contracting company, Southern Electric Company. The IEC could apply for 10 apprentices on my behalf. So that cap would still exist, but then for each of our contractor members that would be eligible to apply, they could go through the IEC instead of through my company instead.
How's that process of picking and choosing done?
That is up to the Technical College System of Georgia.
Okay.
TCSG would administer the program, whether it's through an employer or through a sponsoring agency. Senator Hickman?
Yes, right. But my question doesn't relate. I'd like for Mark from TCSG to come forward at some point in time and tell us the status of the program. I think we put in the budget $1,250,000 for the program last year, and I think there's administrative cost. So net is about $1 million, and that only handles about 200 people. So, Mark, would you come forward and tell us the status of the program right now as far as the
Thank you, Mr. Peavy. We'll get to you just momentarily
thank
because
you.
I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Any further input from our witnesses or any further questions?
The only thing I would like to add is that this need is very great for us. So I took over my dad's company in 2019 after he passed away in an accident. I'm an attorney by training. I was a public defender in Oakland, California. When I moved back here to Georgia to take over the company, I realized immediately that workforce development is the biggest issue that I have. We have information that indicates that our industry in the state of Georgia is short 160,000 employees, and that number is expected to grow to 200,000 over the next 2 years. Additionally, we're facing an impending retirement cliff as 25% of our workforce is over the age of 55, while less than 10% is under the age of 25. So it is very important that programs like ours are able to support the demand that we have to be able to support our state's growing economy. The IEC puts a lot of effort into making sure that our employees are ready to go in the trade that we have, which is fundamentally a very dangerous, difficult practice. So contractors like myself, I'm a small business, we have to rely upon programs like the IEC to do this training. in my capacity, I don't have the ability to be able to train my employees on the information that they need in the totality. They get into the field and they're learning and they're practicing, but usually I bring the code book to things like this. Our code book is about this big and grows every 3 years. That's not something that me as a small business, that I'm able to then give that information to my employees. So it's really important for contractors like us to be able to have apprenticeship programs like we have through the IEC, so that I can be sure that my employees are safe and knowledgeable when they're out on the job site.
This legislation, maybe this is a question for the author, this legislation does not limit apprenticeship sponsorship to IEC. Is that correct, Mr. Senator Dixon? And so carpenters, for example, could be an apprenticeship sponsor, or electricians is already here, but plumbers, brick masons, carpentry, any of our skilled trades could enjoy this alternative should they so choose. Is that not true? And I would say certainly we're limited by resources, but that's another conversation. Thank you for your input. Any further questions? Thank you for your input. Mr. Peavy, could you join us and address Senate Bill 180?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Happy to answer any questions you might have, but perhaps I'd start with just a little discussion about, I think the question was how, to the Senator Moore's question about how the selections are made. In terms of the process and the way the program works now, we're in, and I always want to start with saying we're thankful to this body for supporting this program. We're in the third year of the program. And we've roughly, Senator Hickman mentioned a number already, it roughly funds 200 to 250 apprenticeships on a given year. We ran through the program. The first year had about 200. We came back and made some changes that allowed us to spread that program out in terms of lowering the dollar amount per apprentice and extending the number of apprentices that a given company could have. In last year's bill, and we also added, not to forget, a public sector opportunity there. And so the funding amount is roughly $1.2 million, and that's what allows us to be able to afford the number of apprenticeships that we have. And so the focus from our perspective really has been on the employer sponsor. And so we have ensured that as the program moved forward, each one of the individuals and the individual companies, we were focused on making sure those dollars go to an individual employer, so we can identify the specific employee that the dollars are going to help train, and they're hired by the specific company, the specific employer. So that's been our approach in terms of how we manage the program. There's been an application process all 3 years. The demand for the program has outstripped our ability to fund them all, and so we've been very pleased and at least to be able to hit as much of the segment as we could. We've had a lot of success with it, and really the focus, as we saw the intent that this body laid out when the program was brought to the table, was to really focus on those small to mid-sized companies that wanted to develop their own apprenticeship program, but were challenged by some of the costs in doing so. And so the idea was an employer applies for the program. We work with them to make sure they're federally approved and registered apprenticeship sponsor themselves. And then as they apply for that, they get those dollars for that individual who they've already hired. And so there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That individual is working in a job, and we're helping this small to mid-sized company in the initial intent to be able to fund those programs to those sponsors. We don't dictate at all what that employer does in terms of how they want to set up a training program for their individual apprentices. And so there are many opportunities, I believe, and I will defer to my the colleagues here from IAC. I believe many of the electrical industry folks have actually used them as part of that, but we also don't dictate how that's supposed to happen. We fund the employer side of it. The employer gets to choose how to set up their program, and the dollars that this body provides supports them in funding that program. So I'm happy to answer other questions, talk about other things, but just wanted to start from that perspective of how the program currently works. So.
Questions for Mr. Peavy? Senator Hickman?
Mark, can you give us an idea, and I've seen a chart on this, the success of the program, and the program is great. Please don't misunderstand me. I support the program entirely. If the apprenticeships right now are spread pretty, not evenly, but throughout the whole state of Georgia. I mean, well, I'd like to have more in our area than we haven't, but people got to apply for them. And my biggest concern on this is I wish y'all would, TCSG would look at expanding the program. I think you get a lot of support to expand the dollar amounts on the program. So my concern is that we take we only got 200 right now, and we all of a sudden gobble it up at one time, and doesn't go down to South Georgia, or Southeast or Southwest Georgia. I support the program entirely. I understand it. I support it, but I wish y'all would look at that and look at seriously thinking about expanding the program more than what it is now, because it is a hot item and it's a very good program.
Well, thank you for the support. We would certainly be open to expanding it. We do our very best to maximize, and again, that's part of the changes in the opportunity last year was to spread out more opportunities across more companies and to utilize the dollars that we do have available better, as opposed to the original bill, has already been mentioned, was $10,000 per employee, and the feedback we got from industry across the state was we need less dollars to support the individuals, but we'd like to have more apprenticeship opportunities.
Correct.
And so we came back and did that last year. We'd certainly be happy to expand the program. We've been working within the parameters of the dollars that we have. We do know that, and one of the things, Mr. Chairman, I will do is share the last 2 years, or the first 2 years, I should say. We've got a year-end report that will give you all the detail about where those apprenticeships have gone, what companies are involved, what industry sectors are out there, because you'll see that they are spread out across the state. They're spread out in a number of different industries. We certainly understand how important apprenticeships are. We're working with other apprenticeship type programs outside of just this particular program and this funding stream to be able to support more apprenticeships across the state, and we'll continue to do that as we move ahead. So.
Thank you. In the interest of time, does the committee have any further discussion about Senate Bill 180? It's appropriate time, Senator.
Since it's appropriate time, I'd like to make the motion to pass LC 49-2206.
I have a motion from Senator Hickman, a second from Senator Williams. Is there further discussion? Seeing no discussion, what is the will of the committee? Those in favor indicate with the uplifted hand. Those opposed, same sign. One opposed. Senator Moore, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Senator. The distinguished Rules Chairman. I don't know. How fast can the Rules Chairman talk? What is this, Senator? I bet he can do it.
You ready, Mr. Chairman?
I am indeed. This is Senate Bill
193.
193, and it's
LC 610132.
Very good. Please, Senator, continue.
So in this legislation, we're simply creating a framework for a pay-for-performance for adult workforce diploma program. This program specifically targets people from the minimum age of 21, maximum age of 40. And this gives them an opportunity to go back and complete their high school diploma and develop critical employability and career and technical skills. So going through the legislation, page 3, that 20-4-171, simply giving the State Board of TCSG and TCSG the approval it needs. Page 4, lines 82 through 125, is your eligibility requirements and criteria for your programs. Page 6, lines 126 through 154, definitions, and provides the funding and the compensation amounts for different completed milestones. Page 7, lines 155 through 174, is your reporting requirements for both the programs that are selected or the program administers, and then also reporting requirements for the TSG board. I'll yield for questions.
Just a comment. This is a high school diploma. This is not a GED. Is that correct?
Correct. That is correct.
So this is a high school diploma that would be provided really through TCSG but through the
Correct.
through a potential provider.
And to be clear, I mean, many of you, if not all of you, are aware that TCSG already has a program called the Dual Achieve Program.
Yes.
That program is for ages 16 through 21. So this program would pick up where that program leaves off. They will work in conjunction with each other, which I do have some. I wasn't able to talk with you ahead of time, but we had some late arriving requested amendments from TCSG, and I would love to cover those at the appropriate time, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Let's deal with the underlying bill first, then we'll
All
get
right,
to
so
the
so
recommendations.
one which I don't know that we're going to have time to get the proper wording for this, but the Dual Achieve program, it is set to expire in 2031. It has a sunset, and so we'd like these two programs to run in congruence with it, in conjunction with each other. So I would like to, and TCSG would like us to put an end date just like theirs. It would be the same, but for sake of time, I'd prefer to do that either in rules or on the floor. An easy amendment I have is if you'll go to lines 85 through lines 93, TCSG wanted to limit these accreditation, those that will be accredited,
Right.
or crediting the programs. They want to limit those to ones that are just approving Georgia entities. So there's a few of these they requested that we strike through, and the simple there is striking lines 86 through 90, and then again striking lines 92 through 93. And so that would leave us with SACS, Georgia Accrediting Commission, Cognia, and then we've got that line 95. Should any of these entities transition to a different one, it would pick up where it left off.
And this is a request of TCSG,
That is
just
requested
for
from-
clarification of
Yes.
accrediting bodies.
And we met just right before this. It was a late arriving request. I wasn't able to talk to you ahead of time.
Appreciate your flexibility, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate your flexibility and appreciate TCSG working with you on this. Again, now this is a high school diploma. This is a high school credential.
Correct. And this is for the population that we tried once and we failed for whatever reasons.
Or they didn't engage.
Well, we don't know the reasons.
We don't know.
We're gonna not make any assumptions.
That's right.
But we know that the goal was not met.
Right.
And this is a second chance for them, and it's a second chance for us as a state.
Yeah, two unique things about this particular piece of legislation. First of all, it targets, is like you point out, a 21 to 40-year-olds. Is that true?
That is correct. That is
And
written
it's
in the law.
also a pay for performance model as opposed to a pay for enrollment model. Is that correct?
Correct. And to be clear, we actually passed this last year, and then there was a similar program but different that got added on, I believe in the House, or it may have got added on late in the Senate. And then that program had some folks in the House had some issues with it. So we're coming back and keeping it clean, keeping this program separate, so that there is no confusion and there won't be any issues, hopefully, in the House.
Okay.
Or here,
I have
hopefully.
questions from the committee. Senator Hufstedler or Senator Beach? Senator Beach?
Mr. Chairman, thank you for bringing this. I support your bill, and I just have one question. Well, first off, I would never make the rules chairman go last in my committee. I just want to let you know
Well, let me
that.
say, he has
So
been,
I don't know if that's going to get me
tardy. He's been
Well.
tardy for more than one meeting, and
that
I
may
kept
give me an
looking
extra,
for him.
maybe an extra pick
Well,
tomorrow.
I was
'cause
I was
would tell
giving
you-
him the opportunity to arrive, Mr. Chairman.
Well,
Okay.
as you can see, this chairman is very young and still learning. So.
Yeah, he is. He's.
Thank you very much. I resemble that.
He's a rookie, so
He's a
but
rookie.
I can tell you, an experienced chairman would always let the rules chairman go first, so I can get maybe I
He
can get an extra
wasn't
pick tomorrow.
even in
I,
Wait,
ne-
wait.
I
Bill,
never asked for favorability.
Let me ask you a question. On the dual achievement goes from 16 to 21 now, and you're just going to pick it up from 21 to 41, right?
Correct.
Could
40.
Or 40. Could the technical college system do this through rulemaking and just kind of, is there a need for this bill, or could it
Yes,
just?
there is a
Okay,
need
that,
for
I was
this
just
bill,
asking
yes.
if it could just be done, changed at the,
No, I don't-
at
I
the
don't
technical
believe so.
college level. Okay.
Thank you, Senator Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Rules Chairman, there's, I really want to like your bill, but
No,
I
you
need,
don't.
I need help getting there. So you're telling me there's no duplication in this piece of legislation?
No, because the TCSG again is they're by law they are that, and let me look at my notes. Their program, I want to get it right here. The Dual Achieve program is specific for ages 16 through 21. So, Georgia law allows you to drop out of high school at age 16. So again, that 16 to 21 is a population that we've missed. There's over 1 million people from age 16 to 40 that
Can you
we
enroll?
missed.
Can you enroll in a technical college without a GED or a high school diploma now? Or do you have to have a GED or a high school diploma to enroll in a technical college, right?
My understanding, I believe you do. Yes.
Okay, so
that's correct.
So a student who's applying for this program, they're going to show up and they're going to do the high school diploma first, and upon completion of that, then the state's going to give the $7,500 to the technical college.
No. So if they go through, if you're age 16 through 21 and you're going for your high school diploma outside of traditional school, there would be no need for you to go into this program because you've already achieved what the Dual Achieve program is.
I
And that's
understand
for
that.
you to get your high school diploma. This is for if you have aged out, you're say 22, and you want to go back. Well, you can't go through the Dual Achieve program because that program ends for ages 21. So you would enter this program.
I guess my question is, when are we dishing out the money? Are we dishing out the
So
$7,500 after they
if you'll
complete
go
it?
to, I believe it's lines 126. So at line 20, in fact, we'll pick it up at 131. So at the completion of the half unit of high school credit, then they would get paid. The program, people administering the program will get paid $275. Then at the employability skills certification earned by a student, they'd get another additional $275 at that point. And then workforce credential, they could get an additional $275 for not more than 50 hours. And then at 50 to 100 hours is $550. And then once they get their diploma, $1,100, the company would receive $1,100. So it's sort of a pay for performance type. We're not awarding these the people that would be administering the program. We're not going to reward them just to sign people up. We're going to pay them to graduate people. We're going to pay them
You
to
said
get a
company, though.
workforce.
I thought this money was going to TCSG.
No, TCSG will administer the program,
Okay.
and then these third parties will come in and it lays out the criteria. They have to be accredited. They will be selected. It might be one program, two programs, I don't know. TCSG will make that decision, and then these companies or third parties will come in and administer and teach these programs. They will
Okay.
teach the high school classes. They will teach the workforce credits. All these different things the idea is to get this population that we have once missed. We're giving them a second chance to get them into the workforce and get them ready for the workforce.
But a third party is giving them a high school diploma.
The third party would be administering the classes
Okay.
that they need to get their high school diploma.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is it not true, Mr. Chairman, that it's very common in higher education to have stackable credentials?
That's correct.
That's what
yes,
this
sir.
bill really does. You can have a badge, or as you achieve various levels of performance, you begin to accumulate certain credits. And in the traditional world, we talk about credit hours.
Correct.
This is really about stacking up performance.
Well, the main goal is the number one goal is to get these people into the workforce and get
True.
them a better job.
Absolutely.
And in order to do that, number one, you need a high school diploma. Number two, you've got to have some workforce credits and some skills that you are learning so that they can get a higher paying job. we're trying to, if you will, break a cycle that might be there. It may not be there. Maybe they just don't have the want, but we're at least going to give them that opportunity.
All right, thank you. I have a question from Senator Harrell. Senator?
Right, with this kind of pay based on performance, how is it handled if some of the students coming in have some high school already that they could, are they allowed to transfer in those high school credits, say if they have 2 years of high school?
I would imagine so. I mean, we don't get into specifics of that in this bill, but if you've already got 2 years, I would think your credits are there. So for
I'm just wondering, do they then get paid for credits that are brought in? Somebody behind you is shaking their head no.
I see individuals behind you providing some visual signals. Would you like to invite them to Lifeline? No?
They would not. No, I'm good. We got to get out of here.
So they would transfer
go this
credits.
way,
Yeah,
They would
go
transfer
credits would
in.
transfer, and they only get paid for what they administer.
Okay, thank you
Or
for the
it should they get selected, but there's other groups that could get
And
selected.
I'm not sure pay for performance is the best term. Maybe it's pay for results.
Pay for results, that's fair.
You paid after you
but-
deliver the service.
But their performance is
Absolutely.
their performance is critical in training these people,
True.
in helping them obtain an education that for whatever reason we as a state failed at.
Okay, thank you very much. I still have a board that's lit up. Do we have any public input? Mr. Peavy, would you like to speak to this measure? You're welcome to wave.
Just support it and we'll go.
Waves. All right. Chair would be happy to entertain a motion this time. Senator Williams? Nope. Senator Hofstadler?
I'd make a motion that we approve Senate Bill 193, LC 610132.
I have a motion from Senator Hofstadler. Have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Senator Beach. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for an amendment on this, please.
All right. Do we have an amendment?
I'd like to strike lines 86, 87, 88, 89, and 90, and 92, and 93.
I have a motion that we strike
And I'll second it.
lines. Have a second?
He nailed it.
Hofstadler.
Hofstadler. Okay, so I have a motion to amend per Chairman Williams's request, a second by Senator Hofstadler. Further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, what's the will of the committee on the amendment? Those in favor indicate with the uplifted hand.
You okay there?
Mm-hmm.
You okay with the amendment?
The amendment,
Yeah, I
on the
asked for it.
amendment? All right. Is that unanimous? Okay, Senator?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, and now on the underlying bill, those in favor of the underlying bill indicate with the uplifted hand.
As amended.
As amended, thank you very much. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And opposed? Opposed 1, Senator 4. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
On the rules, perhaps you
members
can
of the
find
committee.
someone there who can help you. Thank you for your patience. We appreciate you. We look forward to seeing you next Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Thursday morning, 8 a.m. Higher education will meet again. Thank you. Meeting's adjourned.